Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest lessons you can ever learn in life is this: you don't have to react to everything. In fact, mastering your response or even appearing unbothered can become one of your most powerful assets. You see, most people live on the edge emotionally. The smallest comment, the slightest insult, the tiniest inconvenience, and they explode. Why? Because they've never learned the power of emotional discipline. Let me share something with you. Emotional mastery is not a talent, it's a training. You don't wake up calm, you become calm through repeated choices, through practiced stillness, through daily wisdom. Let me begin by telling you something that most people were never taught in school, nor by their parents, nor by society at large. Emotional mastery is not a personality trait, it is a learned skill. You are not born calm. You are not born unbothered. You are trained, tested, and forged into that version of yourself. And the sooner you understand this, the faster your growth begins. We live in a world where people glorify reaction, where emotional outbursts are considered honesty, and impulsive responses are mistaken for strength. But let me tell you, it doesn't take strength to lose control. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can shout, blame, criticize, or lash out. That doesn't require discipline. That doesn't require wisdom. That only requires a trigger. But emotional mastery, that's different. That's a decision. That's an intentional habit built day by day, situation by situation. And here's the good news: you can learn it. You can condition your mind to pause before you speak, to breathe before you react, and to think before you respond. You can train yourself to keep calm when others lose their minds. It's not about pretending that things don't hurt. It's about choosing not to give your emotions the steering wheel. It's about recognizing that the moment you let your feelings dictate your behavior, you've handed away your power. Think about this. If a person can walk into your life, say one sentence, and ruin your whole day, that person has more control over your emotions than you do. And that should not be the case. You must be the gatekeeper of your own peace. Now, how do you learn emotional mastery? It begins with awareness. You must become a student of your own reactions. Ask yourself, what makes me snap? Why did that bother me so much? What belief did that offense trigger inside of me? When you reflect, you grow. When you observe, you learn. Next comes practice. Emotional mastery is not learned in theory, it is learned in pressure. Every moment of irritation is a classroom. Every insult is a test. Every inconvenience is a training ground. When the traffic is slow, when your coworker is rude, when life delays your plans, these are not obstacles, they are opportunities. They are the reps in the emotional gym. Most importantly, emotional mastery requires identity. You must decide the kind of person you want to become. If you see yourself as someone calm, focused, and wise, you will begin to act that way. Your behavior will follow your beliefs. Your emotions will follow your standards. You must say to yourself, I am not easily shaken. I do not give my peace to people who haven't earned it. I am in control. Because here's the truth, storms will come. People will provoke you, life will surprise you. But your job is not to stop the storm, your job is to stop yourself from becoming the storm. That's where the power lies. That's where maturity grows. That's where you become the kind of person who doesn't just survive chaos, but brings order into it. So remember this, emotional mastery is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's not something you're born with. It is something you choose, something you build, and something you become. You are not a prisoner to how you feel. You are the leader of how you respond. And once you truly understand that, you'll never be the same again. There is a profound difference between reacting and responding, and understanding that difference will change how you handle life, how you handle people, and how you carry yourself through pressure. You see, reacting is easy. It requires no discipline, no thought, no reflection. It's immediate, it's emotional, it's often reckless. But responding, that's different. That takes wisdom, that takes strength, that takes intentional control over your mind and emotions. Anyone can react. Push the right button and most people will explode. Say the wrong thing and they'll raise their voice. Disagree with them and they'll argue back without thinking. Why? Because they've never learned to pause. They've never been taught that the real power lies not in matching energy, but in managing it. You don't need training to react, it's automatic, like a spark to gasoline. But to respond, you need to think, you need to evaluate. You need to ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Is this how the person I want to become would handle this moment? Reacting is driven by ego, but responding is led by purpose. And those two will never produce the same result. A reaction often escalates the problem. It fuels conflict. It damages relationships. It creates regret. But a response calms the atmosphere. It creates space for reason. It brings clarity where there was only chaos. Let's be honest. How many times have you said something in the heat of a moment and later wished you could take it back? That's the cost of reaction. It feels justified in the moment, but it often leaves behind emotional damage for you and for others. But when you respond, you buy yourself time. You pause. You breathe. You assess the situation from a place of strength, not from a place of hurt. You no longer allow the external world to dictate your internal state. That, my friends, is emotional maturity. That is self-betrayal. That is leadership of the highest kind. Think of the people you admire, those who carry themselves with calmness, with confidence, with composure. Do you know why they stand out? Because they don't let chaos change their character. They don't get baited into battles that don't deserve their presence. They don't fight every fight, and they certainly don't attend every argument they're invited to. They respond from their values, not their mood. And it's not because they don't feel anger, it's not because they don't get frustrated, it's because they've decided that their peace is more valuable than any temporary satisfaction that comes from winning an argument or proving a point. You must understand this, the world will test you. People will say things to get under your skin. Life will throw situations your way that try to provoke a reaction. But your job is not to be reactive. Your job is to remain rooted. Rooted in discipline, rooted in values, rooted in the person you are becoming. Because every time you respond with patience, with thoughtfulness, with poise, you are exercising power, real power. Not the kind that controls others, but the kind that controls yourself. And that kind of power cannot be taken. It is earned, it is practiced, and it is respected. So the next time something irritates you, pause. The next time someone disrespects you, think. The next time life seems to be pressing your buttons, don't give it the satisfaction of controlling you. Instead, respond from strength. Respond from purpose. Respond from wisdom. Because reacting is what anyone can do. But responding, that's what leaders do. That's what disciplined people do. That's what people of character do. And the more you practice it, the more powerful you become, not just in how you handle life, but in who you are becoming through it. There's a truth about life that many overlook. The calmer you are, the more control you have. In fact, one of the greatest indicators of strength is how calm you can remain in situations where most people would fall apart. Because calmness is not weakness. Calmness is not passivity. Calmness is power under control. When emotions are high, clarity is low. The moment you lose your calm, you lose the ability to think clearly, to make wise decisions, and to carry yourself with dignity. Staying calm isn't about ignoring problems. It's about facing them without panic. It's about not letting external chaos create internal disorder. Life will always present moments that try to shake you. People will say things that challenge you. Situations will feel unfair, unexpected, and uncomfortable. But in those moments, your calmness becomes your leadership. Think of calmness like an anchor in a storm. The waves may rise, the wind may howl, but the anchor holds the ship steady. That's what calmness does for you. It holds you steady. When you're calm, you don't say things you'll regret. You don't take actions that contradict your values. You don't surrender to emotional impulses that only lead to destruction. Instead, you move with purpose. You speak with intention. You respond with wisdom. There's a reason people are drawn to calm individuals. It's because calm people radiate stability. They create an atmosphere of peace, even in high-pressure moments. They're the ones others turn to when things get difficult, not because they have all the answers, but because they have composure. And in a world where so many people are reactive, being calm is a superpower. But let me be honest with you, staying calm is not easy. It's not automatic. It's not something that just happens. It's a learned behavior. It's a conscious choice. It requires you to pause when you want to explode. It requires you to breathe when you feel overwhelmed. It requires you to detach from the noise and anchor yourself in perspective. That takes discipline. That takes mental conditioning. And yes, people will try to test your calm. Some will try to provoke you. Not everyone will respect your peace. But their behavior does not have to become your reaction. You are not responsible for how others act. You are only responsible for how you choose to respond. When someone throws anger at you and you return silence, you keep your power. When life delays your plans and you remain patient, you hold the wheel. That is true control, not control over others, but control over yourself. You must learn to be calm in moments of frustration, disappointment, and offense, because that's when it matters most. Anyone can be calm when life is comfortable, but the real test is how calm you can stay when life is uncomfortable. That's the difference between those who rise and those who react. Remember this, storms don't last forever. Challenges pass, tension dissolves, but the consequences of your reactions can linger. So choose calmness, not for the world, but for yourself. Choose calmness because it keeps your mind clear. Choose calmness because it protects your energy. Choose calmness because it allows you to rise above the noise and act from your highest self. In the end, calmness is not about what's happening around you. It's about what you choose to cultivate within you. The calmer you are, the more control you keep. And when you stay in control, you don't just survive life. You lead it with grace, strength, and unshakable focus. One of the greatest forms of emotional strength is learning not to entertain every opinion that comes your way. In a world where everyone feels entitled to comment, judge, or criticize, the key to inner peace and power lies in the ability to filter. Emotionally strong people don't waste their energy reacting to every voice, every opinion, or every whisper that tries to define them. Why? Because they know who they are. When you know who you are, you stop living for the approval of people who don't even understand your journey. You stop shrinking to fit into someone else's limited vision of who they think you should be. Emotionally strong people realize that not every opinion is valuable and not every voice deserves a response. They understand that some people talk simply because they can, not because they have insight, experience, or understanding. And just because someone has something to say doesn't mean you have to receive it. You see, your energy is limited, your focus is precious, and your time is sacred. The moment you start entertaining every opinion, you lose direction. You start chasing approval instead of purpose. You start modifying your decisions to please people who have no investment in your growth. And before you know it, you've handed over your power to voices that don't matter. Emotionally strong people don't do that. They stay grounded. They listen to wisdom, but are not shaken by noise. They welcome feedback, but reject unnecessary drama. They seek truth, not popularity. And they understand that silence is often more powerful than a defensive explanation. Because when you're secure in who you are, you no longer need to convince others to believe in your path. Think about it. Have you ever tried to explain your dream to someone who didn't get it? Have you ever tried to justify your decisions to people who have never walked a day in your shoes? It's exhausting and it's unnecessary because some opinions are shaped by fear, by jealousy, or by ignorance. And emotionally strong people recognize that what someone says about you says more about them than it does about you. The stronger you become emotionally, the less you need validation from others. You begin to walk in your truth, whether it's clapped for or criticized. You begin to build your life based on vision, not votes. You understand that growth requires focus, and focus requires boundaries. You cannot entertain every voice and expect to live a peaceful, purposeful life. So instead of reacting, redirect your energy. Instead of arguing, keep building. Instead of defending, keep moving. Let your actions be the evidence. Let your consistency speak for itself. Emotionally strong people don't get stuck in petty battles. They don't waste hours online defending their character. They rise above. They understand that their time is better spent developing themselves than explaining themselves. And when they do speak, they speak with clarity, not out of emotion. They speak with purpose, not with insecurity. Because real strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It just stands firm, unshaken by the opinions that come and go like the wind. You don't have to prove anything to anyone who doesn't see your value. You don't have to adjust your light to make others comfortable. Stay focused, stay firm, stay faithful to your calling. Let the world say what it wants. Just make sure your life continues to reflect truth, peace. The goal is not to silence every opinion. It's to become so rooted in your identity that no opinion can uproot you. That is the mark of emotional strength. That is the power of maturity. And that, my friends, is how you rise above the noise and keep becoming the person you were created to be. In life, there is something more valuable than money, more precious than recognition, and more powerful than status. It is your peace. And once you understand how sacred your peace is, you will stop trading it for things that are temporary. You will stop giving it away for arguments that don't matter, people who don't care, or emotions that come and go. Because your peace is the foundation of your clarity, your creativity, your focus, and your strength. Think about how often we exchange our peace for temporary emotions. Someone offends us and we lose our calm. Someone disappoints us and we lose our focus. A situation doesn't go our way and we spiral. But let me tell you the truth. None of those things are worth the cost of your peace. Emotionally reactive people are constantly caught in a storm. They move from one conflict to another, one insult to the next, one frustration after another. But people who have learned to value peace are different. They don't allow every emotion to pull them into chaos. They've learned to protect their energy like it's treasure. Your peace is too expensive to be sacrificed for a comment, a disagreement, or a delay. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to react every time someone says something offensive. Why? Because you've matured. Because you understand that not every fight is worth your energy. Because you've discovered the value of protecting what keeps you grounded. It's important to realize that peace is not found in a perfect life. It's not about having no problems. Peace is found when you decide that nothing outside of you can control what happens inside of you. That's the real victory. The moment you decide, I will no longer allow external events to dictate my internal world, you step into emotional strength. You begin to live with intentionality. You start choosing peace over pride, calm over conflict, stillness over drama. You see, life is always happening. People will disappoint you. Plans will shift. The unexpected will arrive uninvited. But your peace is something you must choose and protect every single day. It means you walk away from arguments that serve no purpose. It means you don't entertain gossip or negative energy. It means you pause before you react. It means you remember that peace is more powerful than proving your point. And let's be honest, how many times have we let a single moment of anger or frustration ruin an entire day? We carry the weight of something someone said and it drains our joy. We replay a disagreement in our head and it steals our rest. That's what happens when you let temporary emotions have permanent access to your peace. Emotion comes and goes, but peace should stay. You've got to make a decision to value your peace like never before. Protect it from people who feed off drama. Guard it from situations that aim to provoke you. Defend it from thoughts that try to drag you back into old habits. When your peace becomes your priority, your entire life begins to shift. You'll notice that you're not so easily rattled anymore. You'll find yourself walking through chaos with a still mind. You'll respond with grace instead of frustration. So the next time you feel your emotions rising, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. Breathe, step back, reclaim your center. Because peace is your power. Peace is your protection. Peace is your path forward. Don't sell it cheap. Don't give it away quickly. Let it lead you into a stronger, clearer, and more focused version of yourself. One of the greatest lessons you can learn in life is this: not every action requires a reaction. It sounds simple, but mastering this truth can transform the way you live. It can protect your peace, sharpen your focus, and elevate your maturity. You see, most people are reactive. They allow what others do to dictate how they feel, how they think, and how they behave. But emotionally strong individuals know better. They don't give every action the privilege of their response. They choose when to respond, how to respond, and if a response is even necessary. In today's world, people are quick to argue, quick to defend, and quick to retaliate. Someone cuts you off in traffic, immediate anger. Someone posts a passive-aggressive comment online, instant reply. Someone gossips behind your back. You feel the urge to set the record straight. But what if I told you that your power is not in your reaction, but in your ability to rise above it? What if I told you that real strength is in your silence, your restraint, your ability to walk away without carrying the poison of someone else's actions? You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstands you. And you certainly don't need to react to every opinion, every insult, or every trigger. Because when you react to everything, you become emotionally exhausted. Your mind stays in turmoil, your energy is scattered, and your goals get delayed. But when you learn to pause, to evaluate, and to decide with intention, you stay in control. Just because someone acts out doesn't mean you have to respond in kind. Their chaos doesn't have to become your chaos. Their mood doesn't have to become your mood. And their lack of discipline doesn't have to interrupt your progress. Emotionally intelligent people understand this deeply. They've learned to respond instead of react. And in many cases, they've learned that no response at all is the most powerful response. Ask yourself this: does reacting serve your purpose? Does it help you grow? Does it bring clarity? Most of the time, the answer is no. Reaction often stems from ego, from the desire to prove something, or from the impulse to win a meaningless battle. But what do you win when you lower yourself to someone else's level? What do you gain when you trade your peace for a temporary outburst? There's dignity in self-control. There's wisdom in patience. And there's power in knowing when to remain still. When you don't react, you're not showing weakness, you're showing mastery. You're showing that your emotions work for you, not the other way around. You're showing that you are in charge of your state of mind, regardless of what happens around you. This doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself. It doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It simply means you choose your battles wisely. You pick your moments. You save your energy for things that truly matter. You speak when it serves your growth, not when it feeds your pride. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. The next time you're tempted to clap back, breathe. The next time you feel like defending yourself against something that doesn't deserve your energy, remember this: not every action requires a reaction. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stay calm, stay silent, and keep moving forward. You were not born to be pulled in every direction by other people's behavior. You were born to lead yourself, to discipline your emotions, and to walk in wisdom. Choose your peace, protect your focus, and never forget, stillness is a superpower. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and constant chatter, one of the most powerful responses you can give is silence. It's easy to think that every situation demands a reaction, that every insult, misunderstanding, or challenge requires a defense or an explanation. But sometimes the greatest strength lies in choosing not to say a word. Responding with silence is not about weakness or avoidance. It's about wisdom, control, and emotional mastery. It's about recognizing that words can fuel a fire that's better left to die down quietly. When you respond with silence, you take away the power of the conflict. You don't feed the drama. You don't give your adversary the satisfaction of seeing you react. Silence becomes your shield and your weapon at the same time. Think about the last time you were angry or hurt by someone's words. What did you want to say? What did you want to explain? How many times have you wished you could rewind and say nothing instead? That's because silence often carries more weight than any argument. Silence can communicate confidence, dignity, and peace in ways words often fail. When you respond with silence, you create space. Space to think, space to breathe, and space to choose your next steps carefully. You're no longer a prisoner to your immediate emotions. Instead, you give yourself the chance to respond with intention rather than reaction. And that difference is life-changing. Silence also protects your energy. When you engage in every argument, every debate, every negative conversation, you drain yourself. You spend hours justifying, defending, and trying to convince others. But when you choose silence, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. Your growth, your goals, your peace. Silence speaks volumes. It shows that you're above petty disputes. It reveals that you don't need to prove yourself to others constantly. It signals emotional maturity and self-respect. People will notice when you refuse to engage in needless conflict. They will respect you more when you don't give them the reaction they expect. There is a reason many wise leaders, philosophers, and spiritual teachers emphasize the power of silence. It is often in quiet moments that clarity is found. It is often in silent reflection that true strength emerges. When you learn to respond with silence, you step into a place of control and confidence that few possess. Silence doesn't mean ignoring problems or bottling up emotions. It means choosing the right moment and the right way to communicate. It means sometimes saying nothing because words would do more harm than good. It means valuing peace over being right. And it means understanding that your silence can disarm tension faster than any argument. In practice, this means that when you face criticism, gossip, or negativity, pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is my response necessary? Will it build or break? Will it elevate or escalate? If the answer is no, let silence be your answer. Let your calmness and restraint show your strength. Remember, silence is not the absence of power, it is the presence of self-restraint. It is not a sign of weakness, it is the mark of wisdom. It is not giving up, it is choosing a better path. When you respond with silence, you hold the power to decide the atmosphere of your life. So the next time you feel pulled into a conflict, remember this: your silence can be the most powerful answer you give. It can protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and pave the way for your true success. Don't rush to fill every moment with words. Sometimes the most meaningful communication happens in the quiet. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is a powerful skill that allows you to maintain your inner strength, clarity, and peace no matter what life throws your way. In a world that often encourages emotional reactivity, where feelings can overwhelm reason and lead to chaos, learning how to detach emotionally is one of the most important lessons you can master. This skill does not mean you stop caring. Instead, it means you create a healthy distance from situations and people so that your decisions come from a place of calmness not impulsivity. When you are emotionally attached to outcomes, people's opinions, or situations, you give away your power. You let external forces control your mood, your decisions, and ultimately your life. Emotional detachment, on the other hand, allows you to observe situations objectively. It helps you to step back and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this affect my peace and progress? When you master emotional detachment, you start reacting immediately and start responding thoughtfully. This detachment gives you the ability to stay grounded in the midst of emotional storms. It's like being the eye of a hurricane, calm, centered, and unaffected while chaos swirls around you. This is crucial because emotional reactions often cloud judgment. When you detach, you create a buffer between stimulus and response, giving you time to think clearly, process your feelings, and choose your actions wisely. Emotional detachment is especially important in relationships. When you become overly dependent on others for your happiness or self-worth, you set yourself up for disappointment and pain. By maintaining a healthy emotional distance, you protect yourself from being overwhelmed by the ups and downs of others. You can love and support without losing yourself. You can care without being consumed. Emotional detachment enables you to focus on your personal growth without distraction. When you are not constantly dragged into emotional dramas, you can invest your energy in building your skills, improving your mindset, and pursuing your goals. It is a form of self-respect because you are prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being. Detachment also helps you to break free from negative patterns. Many people get stuck in cycles of resentment, anger, or anxiety because they remain emotionally entangled with the past or with people who do not serve their growth. By detaching, you can let go of what no longer benefits you. You learn to forgive, not for the sake of others, but to free yourself from the burden of those emotions. It is important to clarify that emotional detachment is not about ignoring your feelings or suppressing them. It is about acknowledging your emotions without allowing them to control you. When you feel anger, sadness, or frustration, instead of immediately reacting, you pause. You reflect on the cause and decide how best to move forward without losing your balance. This awareness gives you emotional resilience, the ability to recover quickly from setbacks and remain focused on your path. To master emotional detachment, start by practicing mindfulness. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Notice when you are becoming overly invested or reactive. Remind yourself that your peace is more valuable than any temporary emotion. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and encourage your growth. And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Detachment is a skill that grows over time with practice and self-compassion. Remember, your emotions are part of you, but they do not define you. You are not a slave to your feelings. You are a leader of your inner world. When you master emotional detachment, you gain the freedom to live life with greater clarity, strength, and peace. You become unshakable in the face of challenges and unstoppable in your pursuit of success. So commit today to developing this vital skill. Protect your energy, maintain your inner strength, and choose to respond from a place of calm power rather than reactive chaos. Your future self will thank you for it. In every aspect of life, one quality stands out as a silent but powerful force: composure. Maintaining composure is more than just staying calm under pressure. It is a statement about who you are and how you carry yourself in the world. When you master composure, you command respect naturally without having to demand it. People are drawn to those who can handle challenges with grace, who don't lose control when situations get tough, and who radiate confidence through their calm demeanor. Composure is a reflection of inner strength and emotional intelligence. It shows that you are in control of your emotions rather than being controlled by them. When you maintain your composure, you send a message that you are dependable, thoughtful, and mature. This is especially important in leadership, relationships, and even everyday interactions. People want to follow, trust, and collaborate with someone who stays steady when others may be falling apart. One of the first reasons composure commands respect is that it creates stability. In times of crisis or conflict, emotions run high and chaos threatens to take over, but a composed person becomes the anchor. Their calm presence helps others to feel secure and focused. Instead of escalating tension with anger or panic, they bring clarity and reason. This ability to remain steady gives others confidence and encourages productive problem solving. Maintaining composure also speaks volumes about your self-confidence. When you don't react impulsively or get easily rattled, it reveals that you trust yourself and your judgment. You show that you can handle whatever life throws at you. People admire this trait because it suggests maturity and resilience. It is far more impressive to solve problems calmly than to shout or lash out. Composure is not about suppressing emotions. It's about managing them wisely so they don't interfere with your decisions. Another critical aspect of composure is that it protects your reputation. In the heat of the moment, it is easy to say or do things that can damage your relationships or credibility. But when you stay composed, you avoid actions you might regret later. You preserve your dignity and demonstrate respect for yourself and others. This thoughtful restraint earns you respect because it shows you value long-term success over short-term gratification. Composure enhances your communication. When you are calm and collected, you express yourself more clearly and persuasively. People listen because your words carry weight and authority. On the other hand, if you speak from a place of anger or frustration, your message is likely to be lost or dismissed. Composure gives you the power to influence and inspire rather than alienate. Building composure takes practice and self-awareness. It requires that you learn to recognize when your emotions are rising and develop strategies to calm yourself before reacting. Deep breathing, pausing to think, or stepping away from a stressful situation for a moment can all help you regain control. Remember, composure is not about perfection. It's about progress and making better choices consistently. It also helps to cultivate a mindset that accepts challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to your peace. When you shift your perspective this way, maintaining composure becomes easier because you're not fighting reality, you're embracing it with confidence. This mindset fuels resilience and empowers you to face adversity without losing your balance. The ability to maintain composure is a gift you give to yourself and to those around you. It raises your value in every environment, personal or professional. When you command respect through calmness and poise, you open doors to leadership, trust, and influence. People want to be near you because you bring stability in an unstable world. So commit today to cultivating composure. Practice managing your emotions. Embrace challenges with grace and show the world that your strength lies in your calm. By doing so, you will not only gain respect, but also create a life of greater peace and success. There is great strength in silence. In a world that constantly encourages noise, where people rush to speak, argue, and prove their point, those who master silence carry a unique and undeniable power. Owning your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It's not about withdrawing from the world, but rather choosing when and how to engage. Silence, when used purposefully, becomes a powerful tool of control, influence, and self-respect. Too often, people equate silence with submission or a lack of confidence. But the truth is, it takes immense strength to stay quiet when every impulse urges you to speak. When you choose silence, you're not avoiding the moment, you are owning it. You are saying, I don't need to react emotionally. I don't need to explain myself. I am centered in who I am. That kind of energy commands attention and respect, often more than words ever could. Silence gives you time. It allows you to process, to observe, and to evaluate the situation from a calm and rational perspective. When you don't immediately react, you give yourself an advantage. You see things more clearly. You hear what others miss. You notice patterns and motives. While others may be loud and impulsive, your silence makes you the observer, and in many cases, the one who holds true control. In conversations, silence can create impact. A pause before you speak builds anticipation. It makes people listen more closely. It signals that your words are chosen carefully and that you are not one to waste time with meaningless chatter. This is especially effective in moments of conflict or negotiation. The quiet confidence of a person who doesn't feel the need to fill the space with words often unsettles others, not because of fear, but because they realize they're dealing with someone who is disciplined and self-assured. Silence also protects your energy. Not every situation requires your input. Not every provocation deserves your reaction. By choosing silence, you remove yourself from unnecessary drama. You don't give others the satisfaction of pulling you into emotional chaos. Instead, you guard your peace. Maintain your boundaries and continue moving forward without distraction. In doing so, you keep your power where it belongs, with you. This principle applies to social media, conversations with toxic people, and even moments of personal frustration. When someone insults you or tries to provoke you, the most powerful response is often no response at all. That silence communicates self-mastery. It shows you are not controlled by your emotions or by the opinions of others. You are grounded in your values and you don't need to defend your worth. Silence deepens your connection with yourself. It is in moments of quiet that you reflect, grow, and reconnect with your inner compass. It is where you find clarity in confusion, peace in pressure, and strength in solitude. People who fear silence often fear being alone with their thoughts. But those who embrace silence learn to listen, not just to others, but to themselves. They discover who they truly are beneath the noise. The most powerful individuals are not always the loudest. They are not the ones constantly trying to prove a point or dominate a conversation. They are the ones who speak only when necessary. And when they do, their words carry weight because they've taken the time to think, because they are rooted in confidence, not insecurity, because they understand that silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is power. It is choice. So I challenge you today, embrace the power of silence. Let your presence speak louder than your words. Use silence as a strategy, as a form of strength, and as a declaration of your self-worth. Not every situation requires your voice. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to say nothing and still be heard.